New builds versus existing properties. Which have seen the prices fall the most? Well, that's what one of you asked on the Opus Partners Instagram, which makes sense because the cost of build a property has gone up about 10% in 2022. So if it costs more to build a property, can new builds really fall in price as quickly as an existing property? I'm Ed, an economist at Opus Partners, and this is Property Now. New Zealand property prices have been falling since November 2021. The median sale price for existing properties in Auckland, that has fallen about 22%. But here's what's interesting. The median sale price for new builds has fallen 25% since November last year. Now, we do see that the sale price of new builds, look, it jumps around all over the show. And the reason for that is only 7% of all property sales in Auckland are new builds. So it's a small sample size, so the data, it's just more erratic. And I'm using Auckland data since there's actually not that many new build sales in smaller regions like Palmerston North or New Plymouth, so I can't get good data there. But this initial look doesn't suggest there's a big difference between price movements of new builds and existing properties. So let's look at some more specific examples. 2 years ago, at the peak of the market, an investor working with us here at Opus Partners bought this 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom property in Hallsville that's got a double garage. Now, for that, they paid $898,000. Today, the same developer in the same city, in the same suburb, in the same development is offering a very similar property for $799,000. Now, that's a drop of 99 grand, or about 11%. And these are very comparable properties. The only big difference is this property has a single garage and the one purchased at the peak of the market has got a double garage. But what's interesting is this is a drop of about 11% in terms of the property price of this development. And over the same time, Christchurch City house prices have fallen 11% overall. So the price movement for this property is pretty much directly in line with the market. So let's look at another example. An investor, again at the peak of the market, purchased this property in Linwood, Christchurch. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom townhouse with a car park, and the price on that was $650,000. That was through Wolfbrook. About 2 years later, just a couple of streets over, this property is available on Gloucester Street, same suburb, and it is currently available at $569,000. So different developers, but similar property, similar area. That's a drop of about $81,000 or 12.5%. That is a slightly larger drop than the overall area, which again fell by 11%. And the only reason I'm able to pull this data and give you these examples is because Opus, well, we help investors buy more new builds than anyone else in the market. So I'm not seeing evidence yet that the price of existing properties is falling way faster than the price of new builds. But let's also look at some examples from other companies. Handily, some developers are still advertising the same properties they were 18 months or 2 years ago today. So for example, Williams Corporation are currently advertising these 2-bedroom properties in Henderson. And if we take an example of Unit D, we can see that they are advertising that at $805,000. So how do we find out what they were advertising that same unit at 2 years ago? Well, you can use a tool like Wayback Machine to check out their website and see what it was like a couple of years back. And I've put in, we are looking at October the 25th back in 2021. And if we look, what were they advertising Unit D at all the way back then? It was $925,000. So they've reduced the price of that unit by $120K, which is a 13% drop. And most of the units in this specific development have dropped in price by 11 to 13%. Now, over the same time, Auckland property prices have fallen 22.5%, 23%, and property prices in Waitakere City, where this development is, they've fallen just over 25%. So this is an example where one particular development hasn't fallen in line with the rest of the market. Now, there could be some good reasons for that, like if it was underpriced from the start, or if property prices in the suburb the development is in haven't fallen by as much as the rest of Waitakere City. But this does show that some new builds will fall in price directly in line with the market, and some others won't. And if you like learning about property in this fact-based way, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We release new videos every Monday and Wednesday. And if you do already subscribe, you're probably wondering, well, why? If building costs have gone up, why has the price of new builds fallen by the same amount as existing properties in some cases? The price of a new build is impacted by a lot of factors. You've got the build costs, the price of the land, the cost to borrow the money, and the developer margin. Now, the build cost only makes up about 1/3 to half of the price of a development. So, yep, the build costs have gone up by 10%, but property prices have fallen and fewer developers are building. So the price of land has actually gone down. They're saving money there. But the big one is the developer margin. That's how much money developers are actually making. You see, when prices were rising in 2020, 2021, developers increased the prices of their properties, and it didn't matter that it didn't cost them more to build or that they'd already paid for the land. They raised the prices, made more money, took fatter margins, and fair enough. But now that prices are going the other way, they are radically compressing those margins. They're making less money. You see, a standard developer margin is around 20%. At the peak of the market, some were making 30 up to 40%. But now things are the other way. They're making around about the 15% mark. Some are actually making losses on their properties because they've already bought the land and now they just need to get rid of those properties. So all of these factors together mean that the price of a new build can fall even if some of those factors, like the price of building materials, has gone up. And if you want to grow your property portfolio, check out our website, opuspartners.co.nz. We help regular Kiwis grow their wealth through new build investment properties.